Hello, my fellow bookworms. Welcome to my channel where I read and review books. If you're new here, my name is Liz Robeson, and I love to read. And recently I got a job as a librarian, which is the best job ever because I can read so many books. But anyways, I know it's been a while since I posted last, and I apologize. I was switching jobs, so I was finishing my job at the hotel, getting that all finished, doing all the paperwork to leave, and then I was doing the paperwork for my new job so I could start right away. And then, it's somewhere in between all that, I ended up getting COVID. So my first week at my new job, I was recovering from COVID. Basically, it was a souvenir from my uncle when he went on his business trip that he decided to share with the rest of us. But I've been better. But I've been trying to catch up since I was down for like 2 weeks. And also, I've been trying to motivate myself to eat because I lost my sense of taste. I have about 80% of it back. My symptoms was just like a really bad sinus infection. So, yay. But anyways, I did do a lot of reading. I've been introduced to audiobooks recently. Well, I've been kind of into them, but now that I'm working at the library, I pretty much have a physical copy of the book, but I listen to it in audiobook form the entire time. And occasionally I'll follow along. But anyways, I have no idea where I left off when I was giving you my list of books and reviews. So, if I miss any, and you are following my vlog, which is in the description below, the link to that, if I missed any of the books that I have mentioned in my vlog, please let me know in the comment section. But anyways, the first book we're going to talk about is The Game of Thrones. I did not write the author down. Whoops. But you'll see when it pops up here. But anyways, the book got 2 stars. I felt like it wasn't memorable and everything, probably because I watched the series before I read the series, and the first season of Game of Thrones, the TV series, matches with the first book pretty much almost word for word. So it was pretty easy for me to follow, but it was like, to me, it felt like a refresher the entire time. So I do have the second book on hold, but it's suspended right now because I'm trying to get through all these books. The next book I read, which was the book I read right before I started my new job. So this is basically books from March, April, May. But the next book was right before I started my new job as a librarian. And that book was Bunny. And that book was a trip. The whole entire time you're reading that book, you're like, what is real? What is not? What is hallucination? What is not? But yeah, it's crazy. Like, I cannot describe anything in this book or give any pointers other than that it involves exploding bunnies, I guess. I don't know. But the book was crazy. And I sadly only gave it 3 stars. Probably because most of the time I'm like just reading the book and going, what the heck is going on in this book? Third book is Persepolis 2. You ask and you shall receive. I wanted to know what her life was like overseas and what it felt like to return home. This is the book. It's basically the author's struggles going through living overseas, trying to fit in, going home, trying to fit in there, and then just trying to figure out like who she really is and everything. Verity by Colleen Hoover. I remember the author for that one. This book reminded me why I love Colleen Hoover. Got 5 stars. I loved the suspense of this whole book, trying to figure out what is manipulation, what is not, what is truth, what is fiction, is our main character going crazy or not? And I got the extended version, the with the extra chapter, and that doesn't explain anything. That just leads more questions. So, but I do highly recommend Verity. It was a really good book. I loved it. Next one was An Anonymous Girl. I just wanted a book that was kind of similar to Bunny, that was like a psychological, like, what? So I looked it up at work, found this book, picked it up. I ended up giving it 5 stars. And what I wrote in my notes is, young woman gets pulled into a study for money and dangerous secrets get revealed. I don't know what that means. But basically, we have, I don't even remember the characters' names. I just remember like the plot, where we have this young woman who is struggling for money because she's secretly paying for her sister's medical bills. And then but then she is working out with this one client. This client talks about the study that she doesn't feel like she's going to go to. So she impersonates this client at this study, and she joins the study about morality, I think it is. It's like ethics and morality. And then she gets pulled in more and more on this study, to the point that she starts to learn what the study really is. And a lot happens. And it gets to the point where the person you thought you could trust, you cannot. And then the whole end of the book, you're trying to figure out, who do you trust, who you don't, how are you going to get out of the situation. So it's really good. It had me glued to that book until I could finish it. Next book was Heartbones by Colleen Hoover. I didn't find this book very memorable. When I was talking about the books I've read to one of my coworkers, I couldn't remember the name of this book, and I was like, it wasn't that good. And I was like, this is where I think Colleen Hoover loses me, is when she tries to make a romance out of a serious situation. So what I wrote in my notes was that the main is just learning that people aren't who she thinks they are, especially the one person that she learned to trust completely finds out that he was a complete lie. But for some reason, she doesn't drop him like he asks her to, and says, go forth. Live your life without me. Leave me behind. And she's like, no, I can't. I will give up my dreams just so I could be with you. It was like, ugh. Like I said, this is one of the books that I don't like about that Colleen Hoover writes. This is very similar to Slammed. So I couldn't find the deeper meaning in the book. So yeah, it was just one of those, I feel like it's one of those filler books where she had to like write a book by a certain deadline and hand it in. Anyways, what was I say? Oh, this is just a filler book where she had a deadline. She had no idea what to write, so she just whipped something up. But it got 3 stars. Next book I read was It Ends With Us. This book got 3 stars, not because of the topic, but just how she wrote the topic and everything, and how I just personally couldn't relate. But and I know for a fact that they advertised this book with as a romance, and it's far from being a romance, and that is It Ends With Us. It focuses on the struggle of being in an abusive relationship and how to get out of it before it gets too severe and everything. And I'm really glad for the main character to decide, but of course, that it's not the life for her, and that she wanted to divorce her husband. But okay, I feel like she could have like a lot sooner left. Like, there were so many signs, but I get it that you see the signs, but you try to write it off like, oh, it was an accident, or it was just this one time. So I like how the book focuses on the point of view of the victim. but I do not like how this book is advertised as a romance, because it's not. But anyways, the next book we're talking about is The Paris Apartment. I saw this recommended in so many BookTube videos that I had to check it out. I had to wait for it. I had to, like, a nursing home had rented every single book in the system, but I luckily found it in our walk-in collection, so I was able to read it. Sadly, it only got 3 stars. I'm sorry. I didn't like it as much as other people did. The story is about this girl whose brother goes missing, and she's just trying to find out what happened to him and where he went. And while she's doing so, secrets are being revealed about this apartment building that she's staying in. So that was crazy. But it got 3 stars because it wasn't as suspenseful as I was hoping and everything. Like, there was a little bit of a twist at the end, like, that made me go, what? So, but it still got 3 stars. It was just kind of bland. Next book was Strange Angels. I have been trying to read this book for so long. I have checked it out so many times. I finally read it. I got the audiobook for it. I read it. I listened. And it got 2 stars because I remember nothing. It's like, what happened in this book? All I know is that her dad turned into a zombie. But before that, her mom died for some odd reason. I don't remember, but her mom died. Then her dad became like this huge, like, supernatural hunter. It kind of reminded me of the TV series Supernatural, but instead of like 2 brothers fighting demons and whatnot, we just have a teenage girl with her half werewolf best friend. That's all I remember. So it wasn't memorable to me. But it is a YA. But I guess I'm just not into the supernatural phase right now. Next book was The Wife Between Us. This one was a little confusing if you're not paying attention, because it's in, I think, 3 or 4 parts. The first part is where it's in 2 different timelines. I originally thought it was the fiance and the ex-wife, and they're interacting. But no, it's 2 different timelines between the ex-wife. Like, how she met her husband and how she is dealing with the divorce and everything now. The book got 3 stars from me. It was pretty good, but I think as I was reading this was to the point where I was like, I think I'm starting to get out of my suspense, thriller, mystery phase, and I'm just gonna look for something that's something else, I guess, a different genre. But in my notes I wrote, Maine is trying to save a girl from marrying her abusive ex-husband. Okay, that's what I wrote. That pretty much summarizes the whole book. And the suspense only happens towards the end. It makes me sad. It's like, I want suspense throughout the whole book. My camera started acting weird towards the end of my video, so I have to re-record this part of the video. But anyways, I was talking about how the suspense is only at the end for The Wife Between Us, and The Paris Apartment was the same way. And this next book is the same way. The suspense is towards the end, which is You Are Not Alone. It is by the same author as The Wife Between Us. I believe it's Greer Hendricks. The book got 3 stars. My notes say that 2 sisters pretend to be friends with a traumatized girl for their own personal needs. Oh, excuse me. So the reason why this girl is traumatized is because she watched someone jump in front of a subway train right in front of her. Like, she tried to stop her, but it was too late, and there she goes. I don't know how to describe it more. But anyways, so this girl's trying to figure out, like, why would she do something like this? So that's what her main focus is. But then she meets these two sisters that were friends with this girl who died. And then these sisters, like, try to become friends with her and everything. And then they, like, start playing out this plan. And you're, like, reading the book, like, why are they so fascinated with this girl? Why? It gets pretty crazy towards the end. Like I said, the suspense happens at the end. And that's the reason why this book got 3 stars. I like books with suspense throughout the whole book. So, and then the last book I read is The Savage Song. It is a YA. I do not know if it's dystopian. I do not know if it's supernatural, paranormal. I don't know. Because the downfall of this book is that they don't focus a whole lot on the setting of the book and just focus more on the plot. So they, like, talk about, like, a phenomenon, and it's like, what is this phenomenon that happened? And they talk about a great war. It's like, well, what's this great war that happened? It leaves so many questions. So the book got 3 stars from me. It kind of gave me a non-romantic Romeo and Juliet kind of feel to it, because we have D City, which is split into north and south. The girl is from the north. She makes friends with a guy in the south. And that's about it. And their struggles about them both knowing the truth, and also, like, how the war is about to be broken, like, taken over once again, or something like that. But I don't know. I did request the second book just to see what's going to go on. But anyways, that is all the books I've read so far. I almost had to add another book to this list. But luckily I did not finish it yet, so hopefully that gets its own video. But anyways, I'm going to head out. I will see you next time, and I hope only good things happen to you. Oh yeah, and if you have any suggestions on what I should read next, feel free to leave them in my comment section below. And I will see you next time. Bye!